Welcome to HuffPost Live. I'm Carolina Moreno, Latino Voices Editor, and I'm here today with a true music icon, a music legend. Honestly, your life has been nothing short of extraordinary, and if you don't believe me, now there's a Broadway musical that proves me right.
Oh my God. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for being here.
I don't know if it proves you right, but I'm happy that the Broadway musical is there.
And if it doesn't, I think everybody can go see for themselves. And I think
come see for yourselves.
On your feet.
Yeah, on your feet.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. It's done great. And first I want to thank my amazing cast and crew and everyone that's gotten involved with the show. Jerry Mitchell directing, Sergio Trujillo that got nominated for a Tony for the choreography. All those dancers that are doing like Olympic dancing as far as I'm concerned. We actually had a bracelet that we made in rehearsals that said, I survived conga, because conga is the closer of the first half, and oh my gosh, what they do in that number is crazy. So
I feel like everybody in the 90s can get one of those bracelets. I survived the
exactly.
conga fever.
Well, it's still going around.
Still going around. That's true.
Yeah, we're very fortunate for that. So we're very happy.
And honestly, and the show came out last summer.
Yes.
But you guys just announced a new schedule.
Yes, right? Well, they switched around. Now the poor things have a 5-show weekend, as if it wasn't bad enough to do 8 shows a week. Now 5 of them.
When it's good, you got to give it more.
Oh Lord!
Right?
Listen, hats off. I already admired and respected Broadway actors very much, but after this experience, it's like, oh my God, what they do. No other performer does it in any genre. So hats off to them, and it's really an exciting thing. I've loved theater since I was really young. My first show that I ever saw was Old Calcutta. I was 17. I saved up and bought the ticket. Nobody told me there was naked people on stage, and thankfully, no one told my mother either. So
did she go with you?
She's only
Oh, okay. That would have been.
She's only finding out now, Mom. Yeah, hello. It was a naked show. I saw it. Probably the first time I saw naked bodies.
Naked bodies.
But it was wonderful, and I've been hooked on theater ever since. When my kids were little, I took them, and we saw shows. For Emily's 13th birthday, we did a whole Broadway weekend where 6 of her friends came up, and all we did is watch shows for 4 days.
That was many marathon.
It was fantastic. But so we feel so blessed.
Yeah, and honestly, it's been such a great. You guys came in during obviously the Hamilton buzz. It's so great to see diversity on stage. But then I think a lot of times people forget all of the. You guys are making history yourselves. You guys have 30 Latino actors and dancers on stage.
I think it's the biggest Hispanic cast in the history of Broadway. And
that's amazing.
We just lost one of our dancers to Hamilton. No, we've got a really wonderful camaraderie. They make cafecito, and you see them exchanging coffees, and everybody switches, dressing rooms, and it really is a joy. And we're so proud of what Lin-Manuel has accomplished, and incredibly proud as a Latin to have him representing and doing such phenomenal feats with that amazing show. So. We're neighbors, and
I was going to say, you guys are really neighbors.
We're right next door.
And I just want to remind everybody out there that you feel free to send Gloria your questions. I'm going to be
I'm here.
asking her some of them. So I think we might have some now. So
I love the live thing going on. Hey, everybody out there.
Ready?
How's it going?
Yes.
What are you doing? Are you supposed to be at work?
Or are you at work?
What you doing there? Headphones in the workplace. I love it. Do it.
Yeah. Well, Chris Woody, I can't wait to see it. My friend said it's the best.
Yay!
Thank you, from Palm Springs, California.
All right. Thank you so much. Hello, Chris.
Joas Gaur.
Come on out.
Hi, I like her Spanish album.
Oh, Mi Tierra.
Yeah.
If I had one album that could only stick around, it would be Mi Tierra.
Yeah?
Because you know what? Well, Conga I love, and that will always be, that album, Primitive Love, was phenomenal for us, and Let It Loose, all wonderful. But I think that culturally for me, what we did with Mi Tierra was great, because we purposely put it out at a moment where everybody said we were crazy, and took a risk of doing an all Spanish language, very roots oriented.
Being true to yourself.
Exactly. No, and I wanted to introduce people to where our Latin side came from, and this is music that I grew up singing for my grandmother, who's also in the play, by the way. She's representing, because she was my hero. And I would learn all these really old Cuban songs. So when we wrote the album, it was such a concept. I used words that would have been used at that time. Cuba BC, I call it, before Castro. So thank you. I'm glad you like that.
Yes. No, honestly, I think I mentioned to you earlier, I'm Colombian, and I arrived to South Florida in the mid-90s.
Well, you know, Mi
And so-
Tierra was written by a Colombian with Emilio.
Oh, I didn't
yes,
know that. That's
yes,
amazing.
Estefano, and it's got a bit of, you know, a very Colombian rhythm
Honestly,
at the beginning.
that's the first song I ever heard from you, and that's how I know. I didn't know you with Conga.
You
I
see,
didn't know
there you
from
go.
Tierra.
There you go.
Yeah, and I loved it.
So we have a Colombian Cuban mix right
Yeah,
there. Awesome.
going on. So, Negrita Sin Remedios, I wish she'd do a concert tour.
Well, I wish I could too, but you know what? It's Emily's turn. My daughter, she's going to go out there. Look, I love performing, but it's like boot camp out there, folks.
Yeah.
I mean, and we run a lot of things now that when I was touring heavily, we didn't have to do.
Yeah.
So life is about balance. I have my mom is older, and I used to leave for almost 2 years at a time. It was
Yeah.
tough. I have a grandbaby that I don't want to miss. His life, he's 4 years old now, so it's all about a balance. I will go out and do little spot things here and there, so
Yeah.
be on the lookout for that kind of
And
thing.
Emily can always use a guest
Oh,
appearance.
yay! Are you kidding me? I want to be. I want
You
to be
guys have been
backstage.
music together, right, for the
yeah,
show.
the only original tune in the show was actually written by Emily, the music, and I did the lyrics. And it's funny because she's been such a blessing. And you know, my son is totally in the show because he was around at that
Yeah.
time. She hadn't been born. So we were trying to figure out ways to kind of sneak her in. Maybe at the end. What about an epilogue? No, they weren't having it. But she's in a big way, which is writing music for it. So it's awesome.
That's huge. I mean,
Yeah.
that's kind of part of the heart of the
It's the
show, because
best.
it really is to you and Emilia's music.
And by the way, it's the most emotional moment in the show.
In the show?
It's like the song where all the men are crying and the big dudes that you don't expect. And
Aww.
it's a very emotional part of
Yeah.
the show.
No, and I'm sure there's a lot of things there's a lot of difficult things that the show covers.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of victories, but a lot of trials and tribulations.
Yes.
One of the things that has always amazed me in your life story is, you know, the horrific bus accident that you had
It was
in
not fun.
1990. It was. I imagine you had broken vertebrae. You had like
I was paralyzed.
You were paralyzed, and they told
I
you
was
that you
paralyzed.
might not walk again.
Yes, and if it were just looking at the science, that's what the prognosis
Yeah.
would be. But I had a wonderful doctor, Dr. Michael Newworth. They put me together here in New York, hospital
Oh, yeah.
for joint diseases. And I'll never forget, he came into my room and he said, okay, this is what science says. It'll be very difficult for you to, you know, hopefully you can walk. After they had reconnected me, they could see some action
Yeah.
going. He said, but I doubt that you'll be able to ever perform again, whatever. He says, now, having said that, I can tell you that I've seen a lot of things that we'd consider miracles, and that it's up to you what happens with your life. And I said, well, if it's up to me, then I fought like hell. I was doing rehab 7 hours a day, and at the
Yeah.
beginning it was floating in the pool for 3 months, like, because I couldn't move my limbs. And then step by step, every day I focused on one small goal that I could achieve. And I looked at the big picture, but every day is what I focused on.
Yeah.
That's the way to get through any hardship, I think.
What was going through your head? I mean, to be told that you can't walk, but then also you can't do something that you love. How do you react to that?
Well, I'll tell you this. My dad was in a wheelchair, so I was very cognizant of what that entails. So I knew that I would fight my hardest so that my family wouldn't have to go through that if it was going to be up to me. I knew that if I ended up in a chair, I'd probably end up playing basketball or something that I couldn't do because I'm so little. And I deal with it. I also thought, okay, you know what? I'm going to focus on just getting my life back, being able to stand up and walk. I didn't worry about the career till after. And I always thought, you know what? I can still be a writer. I can still communicate, which to me is the best thing about what I do, that somehow through my music, my lyrics, I get to touch the hearts of people that are listening and I may never meet. So that is to me the most beautiful part of my career, and I knew I would have that. So, but yeah, literally when we crashed, or when we got rear-ended by that 18-wheeler, Emilio was on the phone with his brother, reading him the headline in the Miami Herald, a picture of us holding a crystal globe, and it said, Gloria and Emilio Estefan have the world in their hands. And then, boom. So, talk about 1 second, you're at the top.
It was definitely, you guys were on tour.
We were on tour.
It was
I
a
was
bus,
on tour.
and it was a tractor trailer, it was snowy, I think it was in
Yeah, we got
Pennsylvania.
sandwiched between two. It was a freak snowstorm in the Poconos,
Yeah.
March 20th. There was a
Your
jackknife
family was
truck.
with you.
Yeah, my son. And that's what I was concerned about. Once I saw that he was kind of okay because he broke his clavicle. And we found out when he was 21 that he also broke his back in that accident. One of the vertebrae, but it was this way. And I keep thinking to myself, oh my God, that boy played hockey. He did all these crazy things.
Oh my God.
We didn't know because they would check his back. He'd say, Mom, I think I have scoliosis. They'd check, no. And finally, we'd make appointments for the MRI, and I forced him finally at 21. I told his friend, please make sure he gets her, because he had moved out to LA at 18, and yeah, sure enough, but it had healed. So they would have put him in a body cast, so he couldn't have stood that.
And you know better than anybody else, the human body can do miracles, and so can the sheer will of it. Because
Yes, it can.
a year later, you made this triumphant, like, comeback on stage.
Euphoric that night. I don't even remember. It was a blur. I remember
American
getting on
Music
stage. Oh, right. The American Music was when I stepped back on stage, which is
Yeah.
where the play wraps up. My knees were knocking. And I kept thinking, oh my God, people are going to think I'm so paralyzed. I'm not going to walk. But it was literally, they opened the curtain, and there was everybody in the industry, and they're standing and they're crying, and I have to sing through this. So Emilio really pushed me into doing it, because I did not want to do that, because I knew the high pressure. Dick Clark flew to Miami to talk me into it.
Oh, wow.
And we all knew that it was the right thing to do. But oh my gosh, I was thinking, how am I going to get through this moment? It's just one of those moments in your life that you have to steel yourself to, like, oh, okay, I need to do this. I need to focus. I need to think about the music and the song and the words and what I'm saying, and that thank you that I want to give my fans, which is what that song is about. Because everything else was like, oh Lord, that was tough. Yeah, it was tough.
But it was a wonderful moment in the end, and you must feel so nice looking back on it in a way, that moment, that specific moment, your comeback.
Well, it's an iconic moment.
And being able to also share that now on Broadway.
Yes, to share that, and that moment for me was getting my life back. And I think to a lot of people that were watching, they were rooting for me. And that was the best thing you could ever have. People rooting for you.
The love.
Yes.
I think I'm going to add some more love coming in through Facebook. Chad says, Gloria got front row tickets to the October 18th performance, my first New York Broadway show ever.
Whoa!
I know.
He's a Broadway virgin.
And he chose your show. He chose you and Emilio's show.
That honestly is a big honor. Thank you so much, Chad. You're going to be within spitting distance. Let me warn you, because when you've got front row, you're going to get a very different show than most people see. It's very exciting. You will definitely have that dancing very passionately there in front of you.
This is a good question. This is a question. Gloria Estefan, if you could do an updated version or remix of one of your many hit singles, which would you choose? Personally, I love the remix Naive. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right.
Yeah, Naive.
Did to Conga on
Why to Conga?
Greatest Hits Volume 2. So which one do you think it would be?
He did an awesome job. Naive has done an incredible job. They've remixed Conga a lot. Oh gosh, what would we do? I don't know.
Maybe Mi Tierra?
It's so hard. Maybe Mi Tierra. That would be an interesting remix. But yeah, you know what? I'm so fortunate that I still like all the stuff we've done.
Just the way it was done?
No. I still like the music. So whenever somebody adds a new layer, it's always great.
It's always good. So maybe...
you tell me.
Yeah, you tell us. And one of the things I love about On Your Feet is that it tells a story of a Latino couple. And it shows you really the epitome of the American dream, how you can go through these challenges and you can go through these victories. And it's so rare sometimes to see, not only on Broadway, but on TV and on film, these positive portrayals of Latinos.
Yeah, it's, we don't have as much as we should, but every step is in the right direction anytime we get our stories out there. But when we focused, it's funny, when we were doing the show, it's great that we're Latinos because that's our culture, but we were going for something that had a human connection, that anybody from any walk of life or any cultural background or any religious or whatever background could identify as a human being, that you go through tough things in life, that you fight for your passion, what you feel that you want to do, and even if people tell you it's not going to work, you stick to your guns, that difficult things are going to happen to all of us at some point in our life. But it all depends on how you deal with what you're dealt, the cards you're dealt, and it is in our control. Everything is in our control to a certain degree, and even those things that aren't, how you handle it and is very important. And I think we have to always look forward with positive thoughts and energies and try to learn from the experience for whatever reason. Everything is meant to be, I think, in my opinion, a learning experience and make us stronger, make us grow, evolve.
Yeah.
So it's, so I'm happy that Latinos can totally identify, but I hope that non-Latinos can completely identify as well.
They say that life is 10% what happens to you, 90% how you react to it.
I agree.
Yeah.
Wholeheartedly. And you can make things happen too. You can direct your thoughts. I know that I learned when I went through this experience, I never imagined how much control we have over our bodies, and every 7 years you have a completely new body because cells are all different. So you can really go in and direct your body to do certain things. You know, I've had to do it when I'm sick and I had to sing, or you know, when I've had to go through moments that you're going through something really difficult personally, and you have to get out there and put on a wonderful face for the audience because it's not their problem what you may be going through. So yeah, we can control that to a certain degree.
Yeah, and going back to the story, obviously, I do think that, you know, the goal of diversity is always to normalize it. You know, you don't want to create a Latino show. You don't want to create, you know, specifically a diverse cast. It's about normalizing it, making sure it's like, you know, we're just like we can connect on a human level. Yeah. But it's still very nice, obviously, to see, especially as someone who's Latina and an immigrant. For me, it's so important.
Thank you. I think what makes a difference is, I mean, you want to make a great show. Yeah. But what the people that are the cast, for example, the fact that they are Latino, it means that every night they're telling their own story, and you can't write that into a script or direct it into someone. You either feel it or you don't. You've had the experience, so they're bringing their stories, which brings a certain amount of pride and a special feeling that you can capture as an audience member. You can feel that. You can't make that up.
No, you can't.
You can't fake real. No. In other words, so it helps.
Yeah, and it helps that it's based on real life.
Exactly, and it is very much. You know, you have to fudge sometimes the timeline. This may have happened here, this may have happened there. Plus, you have only 2 hours to tell a story, and most of it is in music. And by the way, brilliant Alex Dinelaris, who wrote the show, he chose the music. I told him, you pick, because I'm biased. Yeah. And the way he uses the music, you would have thought it was written for the story. And then I got to write, you know, new things and add layers to the songs that had already been there, and that was very exciting for me.
Yeah, no, it's good. Yeah, sometimes you're too close, sort of, to your own life.
No, and he's a writer. You know, poor thing. He had to see everything, read everything that's ever come out, listen to everything. He must be sick of me already.
And but one of the things that also I think is so important to have a positive Latino story, because, you know, in this political climate, it's been very difficult. I know you know.
To say the least.
To say the least. Not only as immigrants, but as Latinos, I think there's been a lot of hateful rhetoric. I know you and Emilio recorded a song, "We're All Mexican."
Yeah, Emilio, that was his baby. He wanted to, and when he said that, "We're all Mexican," it was in essence that we're all in the same boat at some point. Yeah. At that point, the Mexicans were taking a lot of heat. And but you know what? I've been around long enough now to realize that it happens every election cycle. Fear is a great motivator. There's two things I think that move the world: fear and love. And fear is a very powerful tool. And politicians tend to use it every time they want to be elected. They focus on, okay, if people think that I've got a handle on this, and I make them afraid about this, and I say I'm the only one with solutions, then it's going to work. And sometimes it works. So I think people have to be really conscious of that, you know, we get manipulated as, you know, as voters every election cycle, or they try to anyway. So it's important that we all sort out among the noise, amidst the noise, that you really think about, you know, who do you want with their finger on the button, and that's important for everybody.
For me, though, I think one of the things that, I guess, as a Latina and as an immigrant, that I've seen kind of different in this election cycle is that I'm afraid of what the consequences are going to be after November. Because I feel like we've opened Pandora's box a little bit, and I know there's been a lot of Latinos that have felt, you know, there's been Latino students in high school, you know, middle school, that kind of feel a little bit of the hate.
Oh, it's a ganging up effect.
Exactly.
You know, it's funny because I studied psychology. That was my major. Wow. I was going to be a psychologist. And there's this, and I used this, not used it, but I observed it very much being on a stage, because there is such a thing as the mass mentality. Yeah. People will do things in a group that they would never do one-on-one. And when they see a lot of support for something, people might be swayed to go along and do it, you know. So it's important that we keep very clear, you know, that we each have power in our vote. And it's very important that Latinos go out and vote people, because we need to have our voices heard, And so all those young Latino students get out and register. And everybody that is Latino out there that has the power to vote, please make sure you exercise that. Yeah. If you can't get to the polls, get your absentee ballot and make sure you have your voice heard in this election. Because that's the most beautiful thing. And you know, it's funny because, yeah, there's a fear of what can happen after. But the beautiful thing about this country is that in 4 years, or even before, if it gets ugly, there's impeachment, there's a million ways
there's a lot of
that you can get rid of people. And, you know, it's not going to be like my homeland that 57 years later, there's still those guys sitting in there. So I have a lot of belief in the American system. I have a lot of respect for, probably more love and respect, the people that are born here, because we lost those rights in my homeland. And therefore, for me, it's very important, and I think we live in a great country. So, regardless, we'll make it work one way or the other. You know, whatever happens.
It'll work out.
Yeah, it will.
I have another comment that Diane Dawson. How did you find the actress who plays you? I heard she's a Cuban girl from Miami who went to the same high school as you.
Yes, Diane. She's Cubadorian. Her mother's Cuban.
Ecuadorian.
Her father's Salvadorian.
Oh, Salvadorian.
Yes.
That was a
and although she's very tall. Latina, she's incredibly tall. She's the height people think I am. How do we find her? We saw 3,000 girls, and it was 2 weeks shy of the beginning of the rehearsals, and we still didn't have me. So we were sweating a little bit. And then we were down to the final four. She found out about this. She was out in LA. In fact, she's got a movie coming out October 15th.
Oh, wow.
She had shot Max Steel. She's in it with Andy Garcia.
That's great.
She had also done a series, and she was out there doing her acting thing. She found out. People kept sending her messages. Hey, did you see the Gloria musical that's going to come out? Because she studied, you know, music and musical theater in Loyola Marymount. And she told her manager, send a tape. It wasn't even my music, because she didn't have anything recorded.
Yeah.
That was mine. But there's a very unique connection with her and I, too. And the first song she ever sang as a kid professionally was Reach. And there's all these little things that were like kismet. And I remember she was down to the final four. They flew her out immediately, 2 days after they received the tape. She walked in. She was supposed to be last. She came in second because the girl was late. And when she walked in, it was like, I got this gut thing, like in the solar plexus, this energy. First, I go, she looks like she could be my daughter.
I was gonna say. I don't know if it was like the makeup or the.
No. She looks like she could be my daughter.
Yeah.
Then she had the Miami accent.
Oh.
Then later I found out, because I didn't know anything about this, like about her when we hired her. Mm-hmm. She went to my high school. Way later, obviously. We had all these correlations. I had met her as a kid because my niece went to her and her sister's school in grammar school, but not like met her. Like I was at an event and she took a picture with me, and she Instagrammed that picture on the day that the show started, and I was like, whoa! I was blown away. No.
Oh wow.
No, her mother found the picture.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I mean, all these amazing. So it was meant to be, I think,
I feel,
to a certain degree.
I mean, I know. I don't know. Latinos are really superstitious. I'm always like, the universe.
The universe.
The universe will bring.
But you got to listen to the universe. The universe sometimes is giving you a million clues.
Oh my God.
And even though you've got to be, you know, very strong and about your passion and everything, you also have to listen to clues about timing. Maybe this isn't the right moment, and I listen to that a lot, very much so.
And it seems to be working out.
Yeah, that's great.
One of the things, obviously, talking about Latinos, Hispanic Heritage Month is starting this Thursday.
Yes, indeed.
What would you like? Obviously, it's important to like celebrate, you know, the contributions to music, contributions to just culture and everything in the U.S. that Latinos have given. What would you like to see more of in Hispanic Heritage Month, or what do you? I don't know. What do you?
You know, I think they do a good job. Every year there's a million ways that Latinos are celebrated, and that we, you know, study them, the kids in school and whatnot. But I just think that we love being American as well. Mm-hmm. And it's wonderful to celebrate your heritage regardless of where it is. We're lucky to have a month. Every culture deserves to have a month-long celebration. So we should really take advantage of it for our kids, so that as parents, we show them, or teachers in the schools. And I think we're lucky to be able to have that kind of celebration. Not all the cultures get it, and they all deserve it, because you know, this country is a tapestry of different cultures, so many. We're also fortunate that by 2025, I think we'll be a quarter of the population, Latinos. So we are really having our voices being heard. We just have to do it more and more often and positively, and hang in there, stay strong, and celebrate, our culture, but also realize that we're very fortunate and happy to be in this country, and we love it.
And one of the things I wanted to talk to you, because you brought up Cuba a little bit, and obviously you and Emilio are very connected to your homeland.
Yes.
But there's been a lot of political changes in recent years.
Yeah.
Are you optimistic about it? How do you feel the Cuban people have reacted to it?
Well, the Cuban people are thrilled about it, because anything that's a glimmer of hope to them is a wonderful thing to happen. But most of the political changes have been here because in Cuba, there have been no changes. They continue to abuse human rights. The Damas de Blanco continue to be beaten for simply, peacefully demonstrating dressed in white, carrying flowers, protesting the illegal incarceration of their loved ones. Some of them were let out, and then they put them back in jail. So I'm still looking forward to the day where there's actual political change in Cuba. I think after 57 years, it has to be incremental. They can't handle a sudden, onslaught of democracy. That may not be what is the best for them, because they've lived like in a time warp for so long. So whatever it is that makes life better for the Cuban people is worth trying. And I think people-to-people contact is very helpful. So the traveling would be great. The travel ban restrictions, unfortunately, they continue to abuse human rights, and not much has changed. They're still struggling for food, for basic necessities. The internet, they charge them, if you go to a hotel, it's $6 a half an hour, and they make $18, the equivalent of $18 a month in Cuba for the general salary. So imagine what they're struggling with down there. So I'm hoping for that to happen.
Yeah. Do you feel like the change would come internally, or do you feel, because I know there's a lot of pressure from outside,
It has to come internally.
Yeah.
The leaders of Cuba have to be the people that have struggled. There's Oscar Elias Pisset, which is a very famous dissident, a doctor who was really played a very big role and is now, is very respected both inside and outside of Cuba. You need people that know the struggle, that have lived it. You can't come from outside having lived a comfy life somewhere else and suddenly tell them what to do. I just think that wouldn't be, right, or I don't think it would work. So hopefully these leaders will slowly but surely, come to the forefront, and the people will realize their power a little more, although they're kind of, the government really still cracks down the minute they see any kind of revolt or anybody complaining about something. But I'm hoping for the best. At least it's a start.
Yeah. One last comment here. Val, I can't pronounce the last name, sorry. I love seeing her videos with Emily on Instagram. There seems to be so much love in the family, and your mother raps.
Oh, yes.
If you guys don't know this, her mom raps. Rapuela, raps with Emily, and you should follow Emily Estefan. You should follow Gloria Estefan if you want to catch some of Rapuela's
rap. Oh my gosh, my mom, it started as Emily goofing around, as she has done her entire life. And she started beatboxing, holding up the phone with a selfie with my mom. And my mom is like chispa. She's
so good.
She's a poet. And my mom was really the star in the family. She's the diva. She was going to be Shirley Temple's double. She had won a contest as a child. They were going to fly her to Hollywood, and her dad said, no way. No daughter of mine is going to Hollywood alone. But my grandmother had packed her bags already. She was ready to go. And she loves being the center of attention. So she's still amazing, and she started doing these rap videos and has this amazing following that Emily jokes. She goes, Mom, I posted something. I go, yeah, where's Rapuela? And it's awesome to see, and it's very funny. I mean, it makes people smile, and she's legit. My mom's.
And you and Emilio show up there sometimes too. So
oh yeah.
A lot of love.
Emilio's usually playing percussion in the background, or adding to the mayhem. Yeah. We have a great time. We love each other. We like each other, which helps too. And it's a wonderful relationship. And she's got, with her grandmother, relationship that I had with my mother's mother, Consuelo. And it's really a beautiful thing to see.
That is beautiful.
Yes, it is.
Laura, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
I had a lovely chat and lovely conversation. I hope everybody had a great time too.
Yes, and by the way, Emily's about to drop a single at the end of this month. I cannot be a mommy without acknowledging that on the 23rd, she's going to have a single coming out called Rains, and then her album early next year. She is the best musician in the family, and she's got so much awesomeness to share musically, and she's just a great person all around. And I'm very happy too. My son is on the video side of things. I got to mention him, although he likes to be behind the scenes. But he's got this really awesome thing happening in Miami with his Secret Celluloid Society. So if you come to Miami, check out his screenings on Saturday nights on the beach. That he like curates film, 35 millimeter, and it's awesome too. And I'm very proud of him. So
that's quite a talented
mommy,
family.
mommy here. What can I tell you?
I'm making Emily proud.
Yeah.
And thank you so much again.
Thank you.
On Your Feet, Broadway, right now. Everybody should go catch it.
Get up and make it happen.
Get on your feet. Thank you so much for joining us.